Welcome one and all to the Biohacker's Almanac. It is a beautiful Tuesday in February 2026, and I am your host, Oliver. I'm currently looking at my biometric dashboard, and I've got to tell you, my deep sleep scores were so high last night, I feel like I've been recharged in the lab. I am ready to live forever.
Forever is a long time, Oliver, but I love the energy. I'm Maya, and I'm just happy my smartwatch didn't wake me up with a stress alert this morning. It's so good to have you all with us. We're broadcasting to the seekers, the optimizers, and everyone who's just a little bit curious about why the entire world has suddenly become obsessed with hitting that 100-year milestone.
It really is the longevity gold rush, isn't it? It feels like just yesterday we were just trying to hit 10,000 steps. Now people are tracking their cellular decay over breakfast. It's a wild time to be alive, literally.
It truly is. But between the expensive gadgets and the miracle supplements, it's easy to get lost in the noise. That's why today we're breaking it down into 6 real-world case studies. We want to look at the cause and effect, the actual biology of what happens when we tweak our habits.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, longevity isn't just about a number on a birthday cake. It's about health span. We want to be 95 and still out dancing the 20-year-olds at weddings, right?
Speak for yourself, Oliver. I just want to be able to hike my favorite trail without my knees protesting. But you're right, it's about quality. So let's kick things off with our first deep dive. Oliver, tell us about the urban blue zone experiment.
All right, let's talk about Elena. She's a 34-year-old UX designer living in a sleek, high-tech apartment in the middle of a frantic city. No backyard, no garden, and definitely no centenarian neighbors to share goat cheese with. She felt digitally drained. You know that feeling?
Oh, I know it well. Too much screen time, too much sitting, and way too much processed convenience food. It's the modern trap.
Spot on. So Elena decided to biohack her environment to mimic a blue zone, those famous regions like Sardinia or Okinawa where people live the longest. The action she took was fascinating. She performed a furniture detox. She literally cleared out her plush sofa and her ergonomic office chair.
Wait, she sold her sofa? In 2026? Where does she decompress after a long day of designing interfaces?
On the floor. She replaced everything with low tables and thick, firm cushions. Now, every time she wants to check her phone, eat a meal, or even just sit down, she has to perform a full squat to get to the floor and then use her own muscle power to stand back up.
Ooh, that sounds exhausting at first, but I bet her body adapted.
Precisely. This constant micro-movement resulted in a massive improvement in her functional mobility and core strength. By forcing her muscles to engage throughout the day, she caused her resting metabolic rate to tick upward. But that was only half of it. She also started the 30 plant challenge every week.
Impressive. 30 different plants? That takes some serious grocery shopping skills.
It does, but the effect was undeniable. By flooding her system with diverse fibers and phytonutrients, she triggered a total transformation of her gut microbiome. This subsequently lowered her markers of chronic inflammation by 25%. Elena told me that her chronic joint pain simply vanished.
So the takeaway is that you don't need to move to a Mediterranean village to reap the rewards. Changing your immediate environment leads to a fundamental shift in your internal biology.
Exactly. She turned her concrete box into a longevity engine. I'm not ready to give up my recliner yet, Maya, but I might start eating a few more beans.
One bean at a time, Oliver. One bean at a time.
Stick around, everyone. Coming up next, we're talking about autophagy, the body's way of taking out the trash, and why everyone is obsessed with fasting windows. That's the stuff. Pure, organic, mold-free longevity coffee. Now, Maya, we just talked about Aleda's vertical blue zone, but I want to shift gears. Let's talk about something a bit more intense. Have you heard about Marcus?
Marcus?
Is he the one who obsessed over his biological clock until he actually started looking younger than his own younger brother?
That's the one. Marcus is 45, but if you saw his blood work, you'd swear he was 28. His secret? He's the king of precision intermittent fasting. But we're not just talking about skipping breakfast because you're late for work.
Right, because in 2026, we don't just skip meals, do we? We optimize metabolic windows.
Exactly. So Marcus's action was very specific. He started using a continuous glucose monitor, you know, those little patches that stick to your arm, to track exactly how his blood sugar reacted to every single almond he ate. He restricted his eating to a strict 6-hour window, usually from noon to 6 p.m.
6 hours? That's a long time to go without fuel, especially for someone as active as Marcus. I mean, he's a marathon runner. Didn't he feel, I don't know, hangry?
Oh, for the first 2 weeks, he was a nightmare to be around. He almost cried over a picture of a bagel. But here's the fascinating cause and effect. By keeping his insulin levels low for 18 hours a day, he triggered a biological process called autophagy.
Autophagy. From the Greek, right? Self-eating. It sounds a bit grisly, but it's actually the body's most advanced cleaning service.
Precisely. Think of it like a recycling plant inside your cells. Because Marcus wasn't constantly digesting new food, his body resulted in a deep clean. His cells started breaking down old junk proteins and damaged components.
So the effect wasn't just weight loss, right?
Not at all. The real magic was his energy levels. Clearing out that cellular trash caused his mitochondria, the power plants of the cells, to run more efficiently. He told me that after a month, his brain fog completely evaporated. He felt a level of mental clarity that led to him doubling his productivity at work.
It's incredible how a bit of scarcity, just giving the gut a break, stimulates such a high-tech internal response. But it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? If he overdoes it, he could lose muscle mass.
That's the precision part. He tracked his protein intake during those 6 hours to ensure he was still building muscle. It just shows that in 2026, we're learning that less is more when it comes to longevity.
I don't know if I can give up my 8 p.m. herbal tea and honey just yet, Oliver, but the science of autophagy is hard to argue with. It's like giving your body a software update every single night.
Exactly. A nightly reboot for your DNA.
Ooh, just hearing that sound makes me want to put on a sweater. Maya, are you ready to get uncomfortable? Because we are leaving the cozy world of warm beds and heart rate monitors.
I don't know if I'm ever ready for this one, Oliver, but I have my wool socks on just in case. We're talking about the trend that refuses to die, the cold plunge.
It's everywhere. In 2026, if you don't have a converted chest freezer in your garage or a high-tech chill tub in your bathroom, are you even trying to live to 100?
That's the question. But seriously, let's look at the science, because it's not just about acting tough on social media. This is about a biological concept called hormesis.
Right. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, scientifically speaking. It's about applying a short, sharp shock to the body to wake up ancient survival mechanisms. And that brings us to our next case study.
Let's talk about Kenji. He's a 42-year-old accountant, very sedentary job, high mental stress, and he was struggling with what he called metabolic sludge. He just felt slow, foggy, and was gaining weight despite eating well.
A classic case of modern stagnation. So, Kenji decided to shock his system.
He sure did. His action was brutal but simple. Every single morning, before coffee, before checking email, he submerged himself in water set to exactly 4 degrees Celsius, 39 degrees Fahrenheit, for 3 minutes.
Whistles. 3 minutes. That feels like an eternity when you can't feel your toes.
It does. But here is the fascinating cause and effect. The moment his skin hit that freezing water, his brain registered a life or death emergency. This triggered a massive flood of a neurotransmitter called norepinephrine.
And that's the focus chemical, right?
Exactly. It's like natural adrenaline. This massive spike caused his blood vessels to constrict instantly, forcing blood to his core to protect his organs. But the real magic happened in his fat cells.
Ah, yes, the famous brown fat.
Precisely. Most of us have white fat, which stores energy, but this cold shock stimulated the activation of brown adipose tissue, BAT. This is a special type of fat that burns energy to create heat.
So by freezing himself, he turned his body into a furnace.
Yes, activating this brown fat resulted in a significant boost in his resting metabolic rate. He wasn't just burning calories in the tub, he was burning them for hours afterward.
But it wasn't just physical, was it? I remember Kenji saying something about his mood.
That's the best part. That cold shock leads to a sustained release of dopamine, the feel-good hormone. It's a 250% increase. Kenji told me that his morning anxiety completely disappeared. The cold water forced him to be present in the moment, which acted as a hard reset for his mental state.
So the effect was twofold. He melted away his metabolic sludge and bulletproofed his mental health. He essentially froze his anxiety away.
I guess you could say he learned to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And in a world that's constantly trying to make us soft, that resilience is a huge part of longevity.
Okay, you've convinced me. I'll turn the shower knob to cold tomorrow morning for 5 seconds.
Teasing. Start small, Oliver. Start small.
Okay, Maya, I've warmed up from our imaginary ice bath, but now I want to get microscopic. We've talked about environment, food, and stress, but what about the actual aging process itself?
You mean the root cause? The wear and tear on our DNA?
Exactly. In 2026, we're not just accepting that we get old and creaky, we're fighting back against the zombies.
I love that term. For listeners, we aren't talking about The Walking Dead from a movie. We're talking about cellular senescence.
Right. These are the cells that stop dividing but refuse to die. They just sit there, taking up space and spitting out toxic inflammation. They're like the bad apples that rot the whole barrel.
Perfect analogy. So let's look at our next case study.
Meet Sophia. She's a 62-year-old landscape architect. She loves her job, but she was starting to feel heavy. Her joints ached, her recovery from gardening was slower, and she just felt inflamed.
That's the classic sign of a high senescent bell burden. As we age, our immune system gets worse at clearing these zombie cells. They accumulate and secrete chemicals that damage the healthy cells around them.
So Sophia decided to go on the offensive. Her action was to start a protocol of Senolytics.
Clarifying, Senolytics are compounds like quercetin, found in onions, and fisetin, found in strawberries, that are designed to specifically target and kill these zombie cells. But Sophia didn't just pop a pill every day, did she?
Okay, so Marcus is fasting, Elena is sitting on the floor. Let's talk about someone who is obsessed with the data. Let's talk about Sarah. No relation to me, thankfully.
The wearable queen. I've seen her. She wears a smart ring, a wristband, and I think even her socks are tracking her gait.
Probably, but Sarah's action was focusing on one specific metric, heart rate variability, or HRV. For those listening who don't know, HRV is the tiny variation in time between each heartbeat.
Right, and most people think a steady heart rate like a metronome is good, but it's actually the opposite, isn't it?
Exactly. A high HRV means your nervous system is flexible and can handle stress. Sarah started using her HRV data to dose her life. If her HRV was low in the morning, she would cancel her high-intensity workout and do meditation instead.
So the cause was using data to listen to her body, and the effect?
Well, by refusing to push through when her data said she was stressed, she prevented burnout and chronic cortisol spikes. This resulted in her immune system staying incredibly robust. While everyone else in her office caught that winter flu, Sarah's body was resilient enough to fight it off before she even felt a sniffle.
So by hacking her schedule based on her heart, she maximized her recovery. That's the dream, working with your biology instead of against it.
Okay, Maya. We've talked about the where with Elena's apartment and the when with Marcus's fasting, but now I want to talk about the how. How do we actually know if any of this is working in real time?
Oh, I know exactly where you're going. You're talking about the data devotees, the people who won't even take a deep breath unless their wristband gives them a green light.
Guilty as charged. But let's look at a real-world case. Case Study 3, the HRV architect. Meet Julian. He's a 50-year-old high-stress corporate lawyer. 2 years ago, he was heading straight for burnout. High blood pressure, zero sleep, and honestly, he looked exhausted.
That sounds like half of the population in 2026. So what was his big hack?
His action was actually quite subtle. He stopped looking at calories burned and started obsessing over heart rate variability, or HRV.
Just a quick biology refresher. HRV is the measurement of the time between each heartbeat. If your heart beats like a perfect, rigid metronome, that's actually a sign of a stressed-out nervous system. You want that timing to be a little chaotic or variable.
Exactly. A high HRV means your body is ready for battle. So Julian started a practice called biofeedback loading. Every morning before he even got out of bed, he checked his HRV score on his smart ring.
And let me guess, if the score was low, he didn't just push through it.
Precisely. That's the cause and effect right there. On days when his HRV was low, meaning his nervous system was overtaxed, he would downgrade his day. He'd cancel his heavy weightlifting session and replace it with 20 minutes of box breathing. He essentially used data to negotiate with his own stress.
That sounds like a massive shift in mindset. Usually people think more is better, but by listening to the data, he was actually optimizing his recovery time.
Spot on. The effect over 12 months was staggering. Because he wasn't constantly redlining his system, his resting heart rate dropped by 10 beats per minute. This resulted in his deep sleep cycles increasing by 40%.
So by respecting the data nudge, he prevented the chronic cortisol spikes that usually lead to heart disease. He basically used a wearable to outsmart a heart attack.
It's more than that, though. He told me that for the first time in a decade, he didn't feel snappy with his kids after work. Lowering that physiological stress caused a boost in his emotional regulation. It turns out longevity isn't just about living longer. It's about being a better person because you're not in survival mode all the time.
Oh, I love that. It's the wearable to wellness pipeline. It just proves that tracking your biology leads to respecting your biology.
Exactly. Now, if I can just get my ring to stop telling me I need more mindfulness minutes, I'll be golden.
Ooh, just hearing that sound makes me want to put on a sweater. Maya, are you ready to get uncomfortable? Because we are leaving the cozy world of warm beds and heart rate monitors.
I don't know if I'm ever ready for this one, Oliver, but I have my wool socks on just in case. We are talking about the trend that refuses to die, the cold plunge.
It's everywhere. In 2026, if you don't have a converted chest freezer in your garage or a high-tech chill tub in your bathroom, are you even trying to live to 100?
That's the question. But seriously, let's look at the science, because it's not just about acting tough on social media. This is about a biological concept called hormesis.
Right. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, scientifically speaking. It's about applying a short, sharp shock to the body to wake up ancient survival mechanisms. And that brings us to our next case study.
Let's talk about Kenji. He's a 42-year-old accountant, very sedentary job, high mental stress, and he was struggling with what he called metabolic sludge. He just felt slow, foggy, and was gaining weight despite eating well.
A classic case of modern stagnation. So Kenji decided to shock his system.
He sure did. His action was brutal but simple. Every single morning, before coffee, before checking email, he submerged himself in water set to exactly 4 degrees Celsius, or 39 degrees Fahrenheit, for 3 minutes.
No, and that's the key. She used a hit-and-run strategy. She took high doses of fisetin for just 2 days a month.
That's the cause right there. By flooding her system with these natural compounds in short bursts, she triggered a process called apoptosis in the senescent cells.
Apoptosis, the self-destruct button.
Exactly. The fisetin caused the zombie cells to finally die off, allowing her body to flush them out. And because she only did it intermittently, she didn't harm her healthy cells.
And the effect was dramatic. After 3 months of this cleaning cycle, Sophia reported that her chronic knee pain reduced by 50%. But visually, her skin looked clearer.
That makes total sense. By removing the source of the inflammation, those zombie cells, her tissues were able to repair themselves. The clearance of these cells resulted in a rejuvenation of her collagen production.
She told me she felt lighter, not just weight-wise, but systemically. It's like she took the parking brake off her biology.
It really is fascinating. We used to think aging was a one-way street, but Sophia proved that by selectively removing the damage, you can actually reverse some of the functional decline. She's basically weeding her internal garden.
I love that. Weeding the garden to let the flowers bloom. I might need to go eat a bucket of strawberries right now.
Make sure they're organic, Oliver.
All right, Maya, we've frozen ourselves, we've fasted, and we've even hunted zombies. But for our final case study, I want to talk about something so simple it's almost invisible. We're talking about light.
I love this one. In 2026, we finally realized that light isn't just how we see, it's a biological signal. It tells every cell in our body what time it is and what job to do.
Exactly. And that brings us to our final guest, Case Study 6, the circadian scientist. Meet David. He's a 29-year-old gamer and night shift coder. For years, he lived in a world of perpetual twilight, blue screens at 3 a.m. and heavy curtains during the day.
Oh, David, the vampire lifestyle. I bet his hormones were a complete mess.
Nodding. He was miserable, chronic insomnia, low testosterone, and he was constantly craving sugar. His action was to implement a light diet. He bought smart glass for his windows and wore orange-tinted glasses after 8 p.m.
He looked like he was living in a 1970s movie, but the science behind those orange lenses is so important. They block the blue light that suppresses melatonin.
Precisely. But the most important part of his routine happened at 7 a.m. Every single morning, David went outside and looked toward the sun, not at it, of course, for 10 minutes of direct morning light.
That's the anchor. That morning light hits the melanopsin receptors in the eyes, which triggers a timer in the brain's master clock.
And here is the cause and effect. That morning light results in a massive spike in healthy cortisol to wake him up. But more importantly, it sets a 16-hour countdown for his melatonin production.
Impressive. So by seeing the sun in the morning, he was actually programming his sleep for that night.
Exactly. The effect was life-changing. Within 2 weeks, David was falling asleep naturally at 11 p.m. This deep, consistent sleep led to a total hormonal reset. His sugar cravings vanished because his hunger hormones, ghrelin and leptin, were finally back in balance.
It's incredible how something as simple as looking at the sky causes such a massive biological cascade. We've spent decades trying to fix ourselves with pills when sometimes we just needed to step outside.
And there you have it, folks. 6 different ways the world of 2026 is hacking the clock. Whether it's sitting on the floor or jumping into an ice bath, the goal is the same: to live better, longer.
It's been such a joy sharing these stories with you. Remember, longevity isn't a destination. It's a habit. It's the small things you do today that result in the 100-year-old version of you saying thank you.
I'm off to go find some morning sun and maybe, just maybe, try a 5-second cold shower.
I'll believe it when I see the data on your smart ring, Oliver.
To the listeners, thanks for tuning in to the Biohacker's Almanac. Stay curious, stay resilient, and most importantly, stay healthy.
Goodbye, everyone. We'll see you at the century mark.